Welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubble Realty Company. Okay, welcome everyone. I am Claire Bramer. You usually hear my voice behind the scenes sometimes, but today I have a really, really fun topic for everyone, and that's Icon Water Trails. And so, again, Claire with Hubble Realty Company, but I'm joined by Katie.
Yes, Katie Hartman with Icon Water Trails. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Will you just kick us off by giving us a little bit of insight about what Icon Water Trails is and kind of how it got started a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, so Icon is a transformational quality of life initiative connecting 150 miles of water trails here in central Iowa. It started off as sort of a brainchild out of a 2016 master plan for green trails and then also water trails. So here in Iowa, everyone knows about our amazing bike trail system, and we have great opportunities for hiking and biking and walking. And essentially a group of individuals got together and they were like, what if we did this for our water trails as well? So that concept, that plan was taken by a consortium of organizations, including the Greater Des Moines Partnership, the Community Foundation of Greater Des Moines, Capital Crossroads, the Des Moines Area MPO, the Great Outdoors Foundation, and who am I missing, Claire? Is that everybody?
I'm sure there's no way.
Catch Des Moines. How could we forget our friends at Catch Des Moines?
And can we just preface this entire episode in saying, you said consortium, for those who maybe aren't familiar with that, it is just a lot of people making this one big thing happen. So we are never going to be able to catch and capture and name everyone who's touched this project.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, I can't believe it's been a decade since this idea was adopted. Fortunately, I was starting at Hubble about the same time that was coming into play. And so I kind of got roped in as kind of just I don't know, what would you even call it? Like a committee member, like a volunteer committee member of like, what do you think? What kind of marketing tactics could we do? How do we get out in the community and raise awareness in a grassroots way? Or how do we, start that public partner, private partnership? So I've kind of seen it since it was the Water Trails and Greenways Master Plan, which is just not as sexy as the name as Icon.
Absolutely.
So I'm very happy it's Icon Water Trails today. But yeah, so 86 exit and entry sites across 150 miles of water trails, correct?
So there are more than 50 access points. There are 86 different improvements to our water trails. So it's a little tricky, but essentially more than 50 planned sites. And the other thing to keep in mind is that master plan, as you mentioned, was created almost a decade ago, right? So we've had change not only from our partner jurisdictions, but also from jurisdictions outside of the Icon footprint who are like, wow, we really love what you're doing and we want to be a part of that. So this general feasibility study is in flux and always kind of transforming as needed, just to essentially match the needs and the desires of the communities that are a part of it. So yeah, 86 improvements.
Who are some of the communities that are a part of it, just in case someone's not familiar?
Absolutely. So we have right now 12 partner jurisdictions. Those are 10 cities in Polk County, and then Polk County and Polk County Conservation. I could list them all. But that's kind of a lot.
Can you do like a good old compass, like north, south, east, west?
Yeah. So we've got on the north side, we've got like Des Moines and Bondurant, and then on the west, we've got West Des Moines and Urbandale and Clive, and all the way out in Waukee, we've got Norwalk. We've got who am I forgetting?
I mean,
that's quite a few.
Yeah.
But 12.
That's a lot of people who are involved in this project. And so, again, we're never going to name them all. But price tag, can we talk about that for a little bit? Because, I mean, this is a, like you said, transformational master planned project. So that goes with a lot of funding needs in order to make some of the improvements that we'll talk about soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, this is kind of astonishing, but we have secured over $98 million in funding.
Oh my gosh.
When you think about the fact that our private capital campaign started essentially in the middle of the pandemic, it's really incredible what our team and our partners have been able to do. So we are working towards closing that capital campaign in the very near future with about a goal of around $33.5 million. But that just goes to show you we've been able to leverage additional funding above and beyond that from local, state, and particularly federal funding. So ICON is really designed around this third split in funding, but that just shows you we have buy-in at a local level, but then from a federal level, people outside of Des Moines and outside of Iowa are looking at what we're doing, and they think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and let's be real. This idea didn't start here, right? There are a lot of other places that have been doing this and taking advantage of their waterways and improving the water and improving and getting them activated and actually getting people to use them. So I know that in the beginning, they, during the study and everything like that, they were looking at places like Boise, Idaho and Columbus, Georgia. And it didn't only reactivate their waterways, but it really helped invigorate their downtowns and their businesses and things like that. But we even have some really awesome places here in Iowa, like is it Elkader and Charles City?
Yeah,
who have
Charles
done
City. Yeah, absolutely.
So those two, it's like you can even go somewhere else in Iowa and you're like, well, hey, I can just jump on my kayak or canoe or tube or
surfboard.
Surf. We won't Beyonce, but I'm just saying, I can't wait to see people surfing. And I think that surfing in Iowa, that just sounds absolutely bizarre, but I'm here for it.
Totally. So. Yeah. You tell people that and they're like, oh yeah, that's a good joke. Like, what do you mean? But no, really, our downtown sites, in fact, we broke ground on our Scott Avenue site, Principal Point at the Scott Avenue Dam last April, almost a year ago.
Congratulations.
Yes, it's so exciting.
It is cool.
That will have in-water features that allow you to surf right at the confluence of the Raccoon and Des Moines, which is really incredible when you think about the urban landscape that's behind you. You're creating this touch point within essentially the center of the United States that just has not existed anywhere else in the country, which is really cool. I think another point to add, in research and kind of preparing for our downtown operations, we've been in contact with other whitewater attractions across the country. And what we hear is, the downtown portion of the project is amazing. We know that's going to be super cool, but no one is doing what you're doing from a regional perspective. Like, there is not this network of trails that crosses, multiple jurisdictions, that involves county participation and state participation and municipal participation. It's just really cool, the regional component of ICON that really sets us apart from our peers.
But I mean, that's what I love about the bike trails, though. And, when we lived in Waukee, we would go up to Dallas Center and then down, but we could always go downtown if we really wanted to, depending on how big of an adventure you want for the day. That just choose your adventure a little bit, and choose which path you want to go down. I love that. I think it's just going to be the coolest thing. Can you talk about some of the regional access points and just some of the things that they're doing out there, in some of the smaller communities, but that's really where a lot of people live too?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 15 regional access points right now. One of the kind of fan favorite or a heavily trafficked access point, we actually have two out at Raccoon River Park and Heron Lake. Those, of course, are amazing when you see what they've been able to do with their boathouse and just creating really this recreation attraction. We see that kind of model across all of ICON. But then certainly, like the Birdland Marina access point is a popular spot for rowing, which is really cool when you think about what we will be able to do when the downtown dams are mitigated. Creates an even longer path. I know there's a word for that.
Trail?
For rowing.
A rowing term? I don't know.
But, it will open up opportunities for the Des Moines Rowing Club. And it's just, there are so many different ways to interact with the water. And I think that's what's really cool. We had a site open up in Bondurant last summer. And it's all about engaging with kind of this natural playscape. So there's, natural plantings, and they have butterfly garden area, and just thinking about the different levels at which you can interact with the water is really cool. If you don't feel comfortable jumping in like a high energy, surfing or whitewater rafting, you can do something that's a little bit more laid back, like bird watching or fishing or creek walking. So I think that's the intention of Icon, is to create opportunities for everyone to be able to engage with the waterways, regardless of your skill or experience.
Well, and so you mentioned the dam mitigation, and so those dams. Can we talk about those for a second? Because that's really one of the key components of doing some of the bigger attractions and bigger sites downtown.
Yeah,
touch on
definitely.
those.
So right now, Des Moines has 3 low-head dams that are essentially impediments to navigating the water trails, right? So we have one at the Scott Avenue Dam. We have one near Flora Drive at very close to Gray's Landing, Gray
Station. Yeah.
And then we have one at Center Street. And these dams are incredibly dangerous. They've contributed to many recreational deaths over the last 100 years. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing a trend moving away from these dams, whether it's removing them completely or, in our case, mitigating them to make them accessible for recreating in the water. Yeah. But in doing so, and I'm not an engineer, so forgive me, but there's something to do with raising the water, lowering the water, that creates the in-water effect with what we call wave shapers. And that's how we get the whitewater rafting and the ability to surf in the river as well.
Okay. Now that kind of plays into these, I guess you could call them like core values or pillars that you guys have always had. And I say that because, I mean, these were things that were being talked about in 2016. And then as, the Greenways Master Plan transitioned into Central Iowa Water Trails, they continued. And as that, brand evolved into what is now Icon Water Trails today, it's those water safety, conservation. What are some of the other ones? You're gonna have to help me.
Yeah, absolutely. So like workforce and tourism attraction,
economic development.
We'll
go into that in a second.
Yes, and then accessibility to recreation. Absolutely. So these 5 pillars not only guide the strategy for Icon, but also I think what's really cool is there's an element to Icon that everyone can get behind, right? So whether you're someone who's incredibly passionate about environmental conservation and you're thrilled that we are implementing like water quality best practices in terms of mitigating the dams and stabilizing our stream banks and adding in our oxbows, or you are an economic development person in the space. Well, economic developer.
It's no doubt going to create, because it's already created a buzz, and like you said, the access sites are barely open. They're in their infancy, and the downtown sites are going. But you guys just released a study like a couple of months ago, I think, and so it was kind of wild to see how much time and money and recreational, output has already been spent without this even being fully up and running.
Absolutely. So this is a really cool study. I'm going to nerd out for just a second, but a third-party data analyst took like 2.6 billion cell phone pings. So these are real people going out to the water trails. They're interacting with the water, and they categorize those by either a splash and play person, so someone who's along the bank. Maybe they are fishing or they're bird watching. They're not in the water recreating, but then we have our in-water recreators, so your canoers, your kayakers, your stand-up paddleboarders. In one recreation season, so this is from April to October of 2022, we had 250,000 visitors to just the 15 existing access points, which is really exciting. Those visitors contributed to nearly 20 million in economic output, which is
wild,
mind-blowing. Yeah, absolutely. But when you think about, I want to go paddle on the Raccoon,
right?
But I got to stop and put gas in my car because I'm driving from Ankeny to West Des Moines.
And you got to get snacks.
I got to get snacks, sunscreen, because I I'm a pale girl.
Yeah.
And
Same.
afterwards, I'm going to grab a drink. I'm going to,
all that paddling made you hungry. So you're stopping at the local,
yes, I'm getting a burger, 100%. Yeah. So we were able to break down the spending patterns. And what's really cool is we had people coming from beyond like 50 miles away from a site, and that accounted for about 18% of the traffic.
That's awesome.
So you can already start to see how Icon is becoming a regional attraction,
right?
Certainly within the state, but then even beyond that, pulling potentially from the Omaha or Kansas City or Chicago markets.
So what's the big number? Like once Icon's all up and running, do you remember what that number is from like because it's all estimated, right? Until you're really truly up and running.
So I think the number that a lot of people have heard over the years is within the first 5 years of operating our downtown sites alone,
so the three
are supposed to result in over $100 million in direct spending.
Wow.
So that is vastly different than the economic output. I mean, 100 already greater than 20. I'm really good at math.
That's why
But also, there's a big difference between economic output and direct spending, and what that 100 million can do once those dollars make their way out into our economy. It's really significant what you think about what Icon can do long term.
Right, because I think as I had heard about the project, I was like, wow, that is a lot of money to fundraise. It's a lot of money to ask for, but then in return, over a fairly short amount of time, it does look like it gives back to the community in ways that we don't even know that it's going to be able to give back, right? Technology continues to change. Yeah. I think that going back to kind of my roots, I love the fact that when I was a kid and growing up in rural Iowa, we had a couple of different creek beds that would, cut through the farm and things like that. And we were down there every day of the summer, it seemed like. And those are some of my favorite childhood memories with my friends and family. And so it's exciting to think that I could bring my 2-year-old down and creek stomp and go fishing and still do some of those things in some convenient places. Cause I love the Des Moines metro area, and that's just kind of neat to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the amazing part about Icon and what we're doing right now is thinking about the impact it will have on the generations after us, right? So you mentioned your little guy.
I know.
He's going to be enjoying this.
He'll
with
probably
his
be
family.
A surfer. I'll be on the side fishing.
100%. 100%. But more than that, at the heart of Icon is, again, creating this connection to our natural resources. We certainly saw this during the pandemic, but access to green space and access to, places like the water trails
and our state parks.
Yes, it's so important for
that was amazing statistics to see how many people just started to, well, you saw it especially in the national parks. Our state parks are one thing. Our national parks have been inundated since, the pandemic.
Absolutely.
But I love that because, again, get out and appreciate nature, appreciate the things that are around you. I know that this is the water, the amount of water that our state takes in. Everyone wishes they had a natural amenity or a natural attraction like that. But a lot of places have maybe the setup but not the water flow. I know, to nerd out a little bit, but it's true. It's
you're right.
What do we have such a good thing here that we need to give it a little bit of time and energy and take care of it better than we have been. And I think it's such a cool opportunity to see what it turns into.
Most definitely. Yeah. The cool thing about our rivers and creeks is they are there whether or not we're taking care of them. Yeah. So it makes sense that if we already have this amenity that is available, why would we not make the most of it? Yeah. I think that is something that can really set our metro apart. For sure. Moving into the future, we don't have oceans, we don't have mountains, but we do have water trails.
Well, and I think that sounds like a perfect tourism campaign for people who either decide to visit, but when you go visit a place and you're like, oh, I could picture living here. That's what we're really hoping for, right? Attracting that talented workforce, and then not just attracting them, but retaining them. Absolutely. So if they're here short term, how do we get them here long term? I think that'll be really cool. That's one of the many things that I think Des Moines draws in the central Iowa and just Iowa in general.
Yeah, for absolutely.
Sure. Oh, where are we going next? There's so much to talk about. And I know that we only have a limited amount of time. So I'm mildly panicking because I could talk to you for hours about this. Let's see. I think, okay. Can you give us an update then? You mentioned Scott Street, which is now Principal Point.
Yes, Principal Point.
Principal Point. Okay, I'm going to get used to saying that. What else is coming up? What can you tell us about? Like, what's the hot goss? I knew I was going to hit the microphone eventually. What's the hot goss in the icon world? Because I'm curious.
So, really excited about the movement we have on our downtown sites. We've got movement at our Harriet Street site, moving along really well. We anticipate breaking ground on our Fleur Drive site next summer.
And Fleur Drive's over by MLK and Waterworks Park area.
Yes, absolutely. And what's really cool about Fleur and Scott, Principal Point, is that they will both be complete by the end of 2026. So, I know that seems like a long time from now, but it'll be here before we know it.
So I live in development world a lot, so that doesn't seem that far away. But yeah, I could see where maybe 2 years feels like a long time, but you're really doing a lot in those 2 years.
We are moving on. We are literally changing the river.
The landscape.
It's pretty significant. It's awesome. But then more than that, we are anticipating 3 to 4 additional regional sites coming online this summer. So just really impressed with the way that our partner jurisdictions have come alongside this project and really taken ownership of that. And I think and I hope that they, based on what we've seen in the economic development report, is that it is a tenfold return for them as far as not only the dollars being spent in their community, but also the satisfaction of the people living in their communities and coming to visit.
Well, and I think that's the big thing for, us over at Hubble is that we were the first company to donate $1 million to the project.
Sure were.
I had to get it in there. I did. But
Absolutely.
It was a huge, we did it because we believe in the project and we know that, like we talked about, the impact that it can have and that it already has had. And so having Fleur right next to the Gray Station community is going to be amazing. We have a lot of other downtown apartment communities and things of that nature. But with all of the housing options that are for sale down there, and there are a ton of other people working on big projects down there too.
Yes.
But to be able to just walk out your back door and then be at this access
Absolutely.
point and potentially have, vendors that are there and with food trucks and or in their own retail outfitter spaces, things of that nature, we're trying to project what projects do we need to bring to that neighborhood and how do we make it feel like just an extension of the river? And I know that everyone who's living down there now is excited about it, but I think it's going to continue to just gain that excitement, especially as work happens and you can actually see it all going.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just there are so many amazing components to our community. Yep. We've talked a lot about the bike trails.
Des Moines rocks.
Absolutely. We have amazing, Polk County Conservation has amazing parks. There are really a lot of opportunities to engage with our natural resources. But then beyond that, we have great restaurants. We have great bars. We have, I feel like our music scene is like, we are on it. So there's just a lot of really great things to look forward to. And I think as we are trying to set Des Moines apart, as we're trying to make it a competitive and sort of this mid-sized city market, this is just another kind of tool in our tool belt. Sure. And beyond that, for the people that live here, you better believe like somebody's going to be surfing, then heading to the farmer's market, then I don't know, heading out to, where are they heading to, Claire? In the burbs.
Oh,
they're heading out to.
I don't know. They're going to hit their bike. They're going to go from bike trails to
right.
water trails and then back on the bike.
Yes,
there's just going to be this connection where it's like, forget the car.
Bike in, bike out.
Right.
Paddle in, paddle out. Absolutely.
That's
we're
my plan.
Solving transportation issues.
Look at us go today. Happy Monday to us. No, I'm kidding. This drops on Wednesdays, by the way. So
happy Wednesday to us.
Happy
too.
Wednesday to us as well. Where was I going with that? Oh, I had a point. Oh, I was going to say, we have not given a shout out to the Parks and Rec in the Iowa DNR and the people in the places who are keeping a lot of our parks in recreational, facilities going strong through the pandemic, but also they're going to play a critical role in all of the water trails as well.
For sure. So one really cool component that a lot of people don't know about the Scott Emily site is that we have.
Are you nerding out again?
What has been referred to as the Cadillac of fish passageways. This is really important because that site,
I believe you,
is one of the most popular fishing locations in the entire state, and there are a lot of residents who actually use that for sustenance fishing.
Yes.
So,
not to mention fantastic bird watching as well.
Yes, and bird watching. We've got the bald eagles who will benefit directly from having this improved fish environment. So it's just really cool seeing all of the different layers. Of course, you've got, you just have different interest levels, and certainly our partners at the DNR, at Polk County Conservation, at the Parks and Rec departments at each of our partner jurisdictions. None of this would happen without all of them. Yeah, I think that's really important.
For sure. I think one of the last things I want to touch on before we get to our off the rails segment is there are going to be some really cool art installations that are coming to the water trails. I think people are used to really seeing public art in, say, like Papa John Sculpture Park or in some other areas on land, but there's actually going to be some water art.
Absolutely. So we have several art concepts that are already in motion. Our kind of initial art piece is a really large clam shaped object. I am not doing it justice at all. It's really
we'll put a link to it in our post so people can see it.
It's gorgeous. So designed by artists Emily Stover and Amanda Lovely. Shout out to them.
Hey,
Plus and studio in Minneapolis. So it's this really large oyster shaped fixture.
I'm excited for
inspired by this. It is an oyster. Yes, it's an oyster.
I believe you.
Now I'm doubting myself. Is it a clam? No, it's an oyster that lives in our waterways. But it's this beautiful, like, iridescent color. And then it has this interactive component that you can actually listen to the sound that the water is making at the water trails. Cool. So that'll be installed at our Center Street site, future Center Street site later this summer.
Cool.
But then we also have art anticipated at our floor site. And then we're super excited. Shout out to Urbandale. They have taken advantage of our Icon Bravo Public Art Grant, and they are installing a really neat concept at one of their sites as well.
Is that kind of the archway thing that I saw? It's like a... Maybe, I'm not going to describe it well either.
So we should put a link to that too, because Claire and I are not art experts. But what I will say is it's just another touch point of the intersectionality of Icon. Yeah. It's like we talk about it being a confluence of conservation and culture, and just super cool that you can go, we have the Principal River Walk. Just go walk by the river, engage with it in this way, this artistic way that is, again, accessible to the general public. It's really neat. And I think they've done a great job capturing, the essence of Icon in that piece.
For sure. Okay, we're going to get to the off the rails segment because we're getting shorter and shorter on time. Is there anything else that people should, though, know about Icon, or things that are coming up, that ways they can get involved? I know that everyone's always looking for just a way to be part of something this cool, this magnetic, and this transformational.
Absolutely. I think, there are lots of ways to engage with Icon. We, throughout the year, will do a few partner cleanup events along the water trails. We did that last year, and we're able to remove over 6,000 pounds of trash, which is, like, sad that it's there, but really awesome.
That was on the Raccoon, right?
So it was at a bunch of different sites. But yes, including the Raccoon. But
that's so much. Yeah.
It's a lot of trash.
And think that's just one effort that people can get involved in. That's wild.
Absolutely. So that's one way. Of course, you can donate to the project. A lot of people don't realize that we are a 501c3. We're a nonprofit organization, and outside of our capital campaign, of course, we, like any other nonprofit, have grassroots fundraising that supports our ongoing operations and all of the efforts we have going on. So those are two major ways. But then also, I would just say go to the Icon website, iconwatertrails.com. Certainly subscribe to our monthly newsletter, and then follow us on social.
I get the newsletter and I love it.
Claire used to write those newsletters.
Okay, now we didn't need to go there.
Claire
no, it's just, I did.
Has been involved with this project longer than I have.
It is but I got involved because it spoke to, again, kind of my rural country upbringing, in the fact that, like, I used to do that every summer. If I wasn't fishing, I was walking the creek, and if I wasn't walking the creek, then we were trying to go tubing or talking into our, talk our parents into, can we go do this today on the water? Absolutely. That's all we were ever doing. And it just resonates with me. I've been a backer of the project personally for a long time, but professionally, it's just so cool to see Central Iowa try and bring something like this here, and now we're actually doing it. It was a really big picture idea in 2016, or it felt like it. Yeah. And so now it's awesome that you can actually, pick up this water bottle and, like, put your, put your hands on the project and actually see it come to life. So yes,
I agree.
Okay, we're headed into what is the off the rails section, and that is just a random question generator. I don't know what's coming either. So we just have to answer whatever populates.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Oh, no.
I know. What dumb accomplishment are you most proud of? Dumb accomplishment.
Oh, my gosh.
I know I'm going to have to think on this one, too. Dumb accomplishment. Have you do you have one?
No.
No, I was going to say, have you I'm thinking of, like, completed a course or something that is just completely off the.
When I was in undergrad, I tried out we have this, like, homecoming talent show, and my accomplishment was that I tried out using a stand-up routine. Did I get selected? I did not. That's why it's a dumb accomplishment.
Oh, I probably have too many to count then. A dumb accomplishment. The only one that's popping into my head, and for sake of time, I definitely took Taekwondo in college. And why? Don't ask me. I don't know.
Gosh. But what level? What belt were you?
I don't remember. Something very early. A white, a yellow, something really basic. But you have to take a test at the end of it. And I mean, it is a full on, I don't even remember how many steps. Aced it. Like, well, look at me.
Of course you did.
Look at me go. And now I can say, I know Taekwondo. That's it.
That's amazing. I did not know that about you. I love it.
Secret, well kept, because I don't think I could do much of it today.
Love it.
Oh, well, thanks for taking the time to come on here and talk Icon, because, again, I think it's a really big project for people to wrap their head around. They see a lot of the headlines and a lot of the great things that you're doing, but they, may not understand just how far-reaching this really is, from fishing all the way to surfing. National inspiration. Is it true that Des Moines or Central Iowa could be the number one or number two top water recreating site?
Number two whitewater attraction in the country, behind only Bend, Oregon.
What?
Amazing. Yes.
So we beat out our inspiration.
We beat out our inspiration, and that's how you do it,
setting
folks.
Big goals like that. Let's keep at it. Let's keep doing
It's very possible, because I think those estimates were at like 100,000 visitors a year, and we had 250,000 just to our regional sites.
We're coming for you, Bend, Oregon.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Look out, Bend. Watch your back. Just kidding.
Let's be friends. Teach us your ways. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I look for more. If you're looking for any of those links or those artistic inspirations that are coming to the waters, check us out. Hubble Realty, any of our podcasts, Instagram, wherever you can find us. That's where we'll be.
Absolutely. Thanks, Claire.